Hello everybody. We are discussing the chapter Biological Classification. This is the chapter 2 of class 11th biology. So this chapter we have already completed part 1 and part 2, and till now we have already discussed the kingdom Protista, and today we'll discuss the third part of this chapter, and in this part we'll discuss kingdom fungi, kingdom plantae, kingdom animalia, viruses, viroids, prions, lichens. So let us start with the kingdom fungi. The kingdom fungi, the members of this kingdom are achlorophyllous. That means they don't have chlorophyll pigment, so they cannot synthesize their own food. So definitely they are heterotrophic organisms, and they they have a cell wall, but that cell wall is not made up of cellulose, rather it is made up of chitin. Chitin is a polysaccharide. It is a type of carbohydrate. Okay, and since they are heterotrophic, so they perform different types of heterotrophic mode of nutrition, that is saprophytic, parasitic or symbiotic. The members of this kingdom are both useful and harmful for the mankind, and the kind of habitat they prefer to grow is a warm and humid place. Okay, so they may be unicellular or multicellular, but most of them are multicellular, and unicellular one is your yeast. It is a very common organism, and that is very useful for the mankind. So the multicellular filamentous form. When they are multicellular, they form the filament, and that filamentous body is called mycelium. Okay. So in the mycelium, a number of hypha are present. So what are hypha? Hypha are the long, slender, thread-like structures present in the mycelium or the body of the filamentous fungi. And the network of hypha is known as mycelium. So a group of hypha combinedly known as mycelium, or you can say a mycelium is branched, and the branch of this mycelium is called hypha. Okay, so these hypha may be of two types in different fungi. In some fungi, the hypha is a continuous tube filled with a multinucleated cytoplasm, that is called cenocytic hypha. But in some hypha, the septa or cross wall is present in the hypha. I will show you the diagram so that it will be clear to you. So here in the diagram you can see there are two types of hypha. As see in the first case you can see that in between the nuclei. So this is one nuclei, this is another nuclei. In between these there is a cross wall or septa is present. So this type of hypha is called septate hypha. Okay, and this is septum. This partition wall or cross wall is called septum. But see the other one. In the other one there is no septa between the nuclei. ओके, ये दो न्यूक्लियस के बीच कोई सेप्टा नहीं है. सो द होल हाइफा composed of a single protoplasm, continuous protoplasm without any septa. So it gives a multicellular structure. So it is a multinucleated structure. Both are multicellular, but in one case the the septa or cross wall is present, but in the other one cross wall or septa is not present. So such condition in which a continuous protoplasm is present with um, multinucleated structure, then that is called cenocytic condition. Okay. So here you can see the structure of one of the example of fungi, that is rhizophos. So here rhizophos, the body, the whole structure is called mycelium, and this mycelium has septa. Sorry, the mycelium has hypha. You can see this is hypha, and the branches are hypha, and these hypha are, some of them are horizontal and some are erect, slender, and longitudinally they are present, upright, they are upright. So those which are mature and ready to reproduce are always your upright or straight, but a horizontal hypha are called feeding hypha. And besides that, they have some root-like structures that is called rhizoids. So these rhizoids, because as you know, these are usually saprophytes or parasites or symbiotic. So they always need some substance, organic dead decayed matters from which they absorb the nutrients. So these rhizoids are the root-like structures by which they absorb the nutrients from the any organic matter upon which they grow. Okay, so this is the structure of a fungi. So these are the reproductive hypha, and these are the feeding hypha. Okay, that provide nutrition. Now we'll discuss different type of fungi basing upon their new mode of nutrition. So as I said, most of the fungi are saprophytic and they obtain the nutrients from dead organic matters, and they digest the dead material um, by releasing some enzymes. So they digest the organic material or the dead material outside the body, and after digestion the organic matter is simplified and it is now in soluble form. So now they absorb that in the soluble form. Okay, and these saprophytic fungi, they play a very important role in our environment because they decompose the waste materials. They decompose the waste materials. That's why they are helpful in making the humus, you can say, or cleaning our environment. So the saprophytic fungi under this, some examples are mushrooms and molds. You might have heard about the bread molds. So bread molds also comes under saprophytic fungi. The next is parasitic fungi. As you know, the parasites they grow on other living organisms and they obtain their nutrients from their body. So these parasitic fungi, they get their food mostly from the plants upon which they grow or the animals upon which they grow. So here you can see the in between the finger they have damaged the skin, so that means they are obtaining the food from the living part of the body. Okay, so here there this kind of wound is caused by fungi is called athlete's foot. Okay, so this is very common one, you must be knowing this. Then symbiotic fungi, you might have heard about the mycorrhiza. Often what happens is some of the fungi are associated with the roots of big trees. So when they enter into the cells of the roots, they multiply and because of which the size of the root becomes bigger and that becomes more branched and diffused. So as the root hairs are developed more and more and they become diffused, so very easily it can absorb the nutrients from the soil along with the minerals and water. Okay, so these fungi, that is the fungal association with the roots of the big trees is called mycorrhiza. Very, very important. So how they maintain a symbiotic relationship. So the fungi helps the plant root to absorb more and more and more nutrients and plant water from the soil. But in return, what does the plant gives to the fungi? It provides shelter to the fungi and also provides food to the fungi. Okay. Then we will discuss the reproduction in fungi. So let us first discuss the vegetative reproduction. So here you can see in the picture there are three mode of vegetative reproduction. Uh, the vegetative reproduction takes place by three methods, that is fragmentation, fission and budding. So here in the picture you can see the first one, the first diagram shows fragmentation. So the hypha is fragmented. So here you can see there is a cut. So it has been separated from the main hypha. So the fragmentation means what? When the hypha, fungal hypha are broken into pieces, each piece, when gets favorable condition, gives rise to a new mycelium, a new fungal body. Okay, so that is fragmentation method. The other one, budding, that you have already studied in your class 10th, budding in yeast. Okay, so this is well known method of reproduction in yeast. And besides that, the fission means division. Okay, so you are also aware about the binary fission in amoeba. So in the same way, these organisms or the fungi also reproduce asexually or vegetatively by fission. Okay, so this is how one parent cell is divided into two daughter cells. So here two daughter cells are there. Now next we'll discuss asexual reproduction in fungi. So asexual reproduction uh, takes place by the formation of different types of spores, and mainly that is conidia or conidiospores, which are formed in the conidia, and sporangiospores. Okay, so here I'll show you in the diagram the two types of spores. So here in see, this is the hypha. You can see this is hypha. The hypha upon maturity, the reproductive hypha forms a bulb-like structure that is called sporangium. And inside the sporangium, the spores are produced, and such spores are called sporangiospores or zoospores. Okay. So when this sporangium bursts or dehisces, the spores are released. So here you can see the spores. So these sporangiospores are of these spores are sometimes called zoospore or sporangiospore. So when these spores are motile, they have flagella like this, then they are called zoospores. And when they are non-motile, they don't have any locomotory organelles or flagella, are called sporangiospores. So now this is about your sporangiospore and zoospores. But what is conidia? So here you can see the diagram of this is penicillium. In penicillium, what happens? The hypha is pinched off. So here you can see this is the hypha. The hypha is pinched off, and this pinched off part is called conidiospore or conidia. Okay, so in this way, these conidia and or the conidiospores are produced. So what is the difference between these two? Here you can see that the spores are produced inside a bulbous structure. So the production of spore is endogenous. But here it is there is no such a structure. They are produced externally and they are simply pinched off and separated from the hypha. Okay, so they are produced exogenously. This is very important. The spores are exogenous or endogenous. That is very important. Now we'll discuss the sexual reproduction in fungi. Sexual reproduction also takes place by the production of different types of spores like oospores, ascospores, basidiospores in different group of fungi that we'll discuss later on. So the various spores are produced in a structure called fruiting bodies. So what is fruiting body? Let me explain you. In case of your plant, the fruit is that fruit bears the seeds, and seeds, when the fruit ruptures, the seeds are released and the seed develops into a new plant. Exactly here also some structures are produced inside which the spores are produced, and these spores develop into a new plant. So you can compare the fruiting body of fungus with the with that of fruit of the plant, and the seeds of the present inside the fruit can be compared with the spores produced in the fruiting body. Okay. Now we'll discuss here the sexual cycle in fungi. So the sexual reproduction involves some definite steps. Okay. So that is very important, which may come as your 3 marks or 2 marks question. So the first step in the, as you know, sexual reproduction means always there is fusion of the gametes. Okay. So here the first step is fusion of the protoplasm between two motile or non-motile gametes. So as usual, you are in sexual reproduction here also, the two gametes are there. The gametes may be motile or non-motiles, but first of all their protoplasm or the living mass of the cell is fused, that is called plasmogamy. The fusion of protoplasm is called plasmogamy. Very, very important. Then after that what happens? So when the protoplasm is fused, now a single cell is there, and in that cell two nuclei is there, because till now the two nuclei has not been fused. So the cell is with two nuclei. Now after plasmogamy or after the fusion of the protoplasm, the fusion of the two nuclei takes place, and that is called karyogamy. Karyo means nucleus, gamy means fusion. So um, now after karyogamy, the structure produced is called zygote. Okay. Now this zygote undergoes meiosis to produce haploid spores. Okay. So here I can explain you the life cycle of fungi, the sexual cycle. So here you can see in the diagram, this is a mycelium, haploid mycelium. Haploid means what? They have n number of chromosomes. Okay. So haploid mycelium is there. So here this is one mycelium. Suppose this is one hypha, and one cell fuses with another cell with red nuclei, suppose say. So one hyphal cell is with black nuclei. It is only to differentiate, it is with a black color, and other one is with red color. So here what has happened, the two cell which has been converted into gamete are fused. First of all their protoplasm is fused. Okay. So here a structure is formed. This is called heterokaryotic structure. Means this cell contains two different nuclei. Hetero means different, karyotic matlab karyon means nuclei. Okay. So here two different nuclei is present. So it is called heterokaryotic phase or dikaryophase. Di means two, karyon means nucleus. Here two nuclei are present, so it is dikaryophase. So now what happens after plasmogamy? The karyogamy or fusion of the two nuclei takes place, and ultimately a single cell is produced with one nucleus, and that nucleus is diploid, because here two haploid nuclei are fused. So it is a diploid nucleus, and the structure is zygote. Now this zygote undergoes meiosis. So by meiosis, as you know, the haploid cells are produced. So the haploid cells are called spores. Okay. So these are the spores produced. Okay. So these spores are then converted into, or upon getting the favorable condition, they develop into the mycelium. Okay. So these are the spores. So when they reproduce asexually, this is sexual reproduction what I described. But during asexual reproduction, as I mentioned, that they produce the spores either externally or internally, and then that spore, upon getting the favorable condition, they germinate to the new mycelium. So this is the life cycle of a fungi. Okay. So how the sexual reproduction takes place, here you can see. So this is one hypha, this is another hypha. So the protoplasm of the two hypha accumulate, and they have the nucleus, that is haploid nuclei. And now you can see these are called gametangia, progametangia. Okay, now this is gametangia, means the gametes. These are the gametes, they form the gamete, and the two gamete, now they have been fused and the zygote is formed. This is zygote produces, it divides meiotically to form the zygospores. Now the zygospore develops into, each zygospore develops into another hypha. So in this way the mycelium or hypha is produced by sexual reproduction. So the approaches, let me elaborately describe. When a fungus reproduces sexually, the two haploid hypha, as I have shown you in the previous diagram, compatible mating type come together. Non-compatible hypha will never come together; they can never fuse. So compatible type of hypha will only come together and fuse. In some fungi, the fusion of the two haploid cell immediately result in diploid cell. That means they don't there is no lapse of time between plasmogamy and karyogamy. प्लाज्मोगामी के बाद immediately karyogamy हो जाता है, जिसके वजह से आपका डाइकैरियोफेज जो है वो डिस्टिंक्ट नहीं होता. So, but in some fungi, the distinct dikaryophase is there. Okay. So now the fungi like in Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes, an intervening dikaryotic stage, as I said, that a single protoplasm with two nuclei are there, and such condition is called dikaryon. Very, very important. And the phase is called dikaryophase of the fungus. Later, what happens, as I said and as I have shown you the diagram, first the protoplasm fuses and a dikaryophase comes, and then the two nuclei fuse and the cell becomes diploid. Okay, and the fungi then forms the fruiting body in which the reduction division or meiosis takes place, and that forms the haploid spores. I have shown you in the diagram. Now, classification of kingdom fungi. The classification of fungi is based on the morphology of the mycelium and the mode of spore formation and fruiting bodies. तो ये mycelium का structure कैसा होता है और किस तरह का spore formation होता है, whether it is exogenous or endogenous, fruiting body क्या होता है, उसके ऊपर depend करता है आपका classification of fungi. So these are the four groups of fungi which are classified on the basis of morphology of their mycelium and the reproductive spores. They are phycomycetes, ascomycetes, basidiomycetes and deuteromycetes, and here are the examples of these four groups of fungi. So phycomycetes are also called lower fungi. Then ascomycetes are called sac fungi. Then basidiomycetes are called club fungi, and deuteromycetes are called fungi imperfecti. And the examples are there. You can also collect some more examples. Now let us discuss the first group of fungi, that is lower fungi, that is phycomycetes. So these phycomycetes grow on aquatic places or decaying wood or damp places, or they are obligate parasite. Obligate parasite means exclusive parasite. That means they cannot lead a free life. They are totally dependent upon the host. Without host, they cannot survive. Okay. The mycelium is accepted. That means there is no cross wall multinucleated. So since it is accepted, so that condition is called cynocytic. And asexual reproduction takes place by zoospore, which are motile. If the spores are motile, then they are called zoospores, or non-motile aplanospores. Okay. and which are produced inside the sporangium. I have already shown you in case of rhizophores how they are produced inside the sporangium. So when they are produced inside any fruiting body, then that is called endogenous production. Okay. Now the sexual reproduction takes place by the formation of zygospore, by the fusion of the gametes, and these gametes are when similar in morphology, size, shape, structure, everything is similar, then these gametes are called isogametes, and such type of sexual reproduction is called isogamous. But when the two gametes which are fused are dissimilar morphologically, that means their size is different or any morphological difference is there, then the gametes are called anisogametes, and the sexual reproduction is called anisogamous or oogamous type of sexual reproduction. Yes, here you can see this is the mucor. In mucor you can see here sporangium, the fruiting body is there. Inside the fruiting body the spores are produced, so it is endogenously produced. Okay, and this is the mycelium, and this horizontal branch is called stolon, by which is a horizontal branch from which the rhizoids are the hypha which are developed below the stolon and they absorb the nutrients are called rhizoids. Okay, so here you can see that two types of hypha are clearly shown here. So the hypha which are horizontal and they absorb the nutrient to provide nutrition to the other hypha are called feeding hypha, and those hypha which are erect and they produce the fruiting body and the spores are called reproductive hypha. Next group of fungi is the ascomycetes. They are also known as sac fungi. They are mostly multicellular. I have already shown you the diagram of penicillium, in which the conidia are formed, and they are mostly they are mostly multicellular, but rarely they are unicellular also, and the most common one is yeast. They are saprophytic, decomposers, parasitic, or coprophilous. Coprophilous means they can grow on the dung, okay, or the excreta of the animals. The mycelium is branched and septate. So there is no sinusotic condition. Septa is there. The asexual spores are conidia. I have shown you previously how conidia are produced. They are not produced inside any fruiting body. That's why their production is called exogenous production. Okay. And the mycelium that produces conidia are called conidiophore. Okay, this term is very important. The special mycelium that produces conidia are called conidiophore, and the conidia are always produced exogenously. These are the asexual spores. Okay, and this conidia on germination produces the mycelium. Now regarding the sexual reproduction, also the spores are produced, and the spores produced are called ascospores, which are produced inside the fruiting body, and so it is endogenous production, and it is produced inside a sac like fruiting body that is called asci or ascus. Singular is ascus. Okay, the asci are arranged in different types of fruiting bodies called ascocarps. I'll show you the diagram. Some examples are aspergillus, clavices, and neurospora crassa. And neurospora is extensively used in biochemical research and genetic work. So here you can see how the sexual reproduction. So this is, let us first see the asexual reproduction. So this is the real diagram, real picture of ascomycetes, and here you can see that the conidia, this is septate. As I said, the mycelium is septate and the conidia are formed exogenously. So these are the asexual spores. But sexual reproduction, how it takes place? So here a fruiting body is there. That fruiting body contains your, that fruiting body is called ascocarp, and inside the fruiting body many sac like structure, bag like structures are there, that is called ascos. Every individual is called, individual sac is called ascus and plural is asci. Okay, so the spores are produced inside this. Okay, so now from the ascoscar, the ascos are present, and inside the ascos the sexual spores are produced, which are called ascospore. Now this ascospore, now getting the favorable condition, develops into mycelium. Okay, now this mycelium can reproduce sexually by producing the antheridium and archegonia, that is male and female reproductive pattern, and more about it will be discussed in the higher classes, that we will know about it. So here is the picture how the spores are produced. Okay, so these are the example, this is the example of ascomycetes. Okay, that is sac fungi, and remember they are the largest phylum of fungi, largest group of fungi. Okay, the next group is basidiomycetes. Commonly known form of basidiomycetes are mushrooms. They are also called bracket fungi or puffball. ये आपका फंग जो मशरूम देखते हैं ये पफ बल की तरह दिखाई देता है, that's why they are called puff balls. They grow in soil, on logs, tree stumps, and in the living plant bodies as parasites. Okay, so the examples are rosts and smots. They grow as parasites. The mycelium is branched and septate. See here, the mycelium is septate, that is cross wall is present. That means no cynocytic condition is there. The asexual spores are generally not found, but vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation. Okay, so here there is no asexual reproduction, but vegetative reproduction by fragmentation is there. Now let us discuss the sexual reproduction. The sex organs are absent, but plasmogamy is brought about by fusion of two vegetative or somatic cells of different strains of genotype. What does it mean? Suppose there are two hypha, two different hypha. When two different hypha with different genotype, means genetic constituent, brought together, then the plasmogamy takes place first. And what type of hypha they come closer? These hypha are not able to individually, they are not able to reproduce sexually, they are able to reproduce vegetatively. And when such vegetative hypha come closer, come they are brought together by any means, then the plasmogamy, that is fusion of the protoplasm, takes place, and then a dikaryotic phase is formed, which is then develops into zygote, and that gives rise to the basidium. Okay, so inside the basidium actually the karyogamy or the fusion of the nuclei takes place. So after fusion of the protoplasm, a dikaryotic phase is resulted, and that dikaryotic phase is giving rise to a fruiting body, that is called basidium. And inside the basidium the fusion of the nucleus takes place, and now the structure becomes diploid, and this diploid nucleus or the structure divides meiotically and develops into spore. So now each basidium, that means each zygote-like structure, which is called basidium, can develop into 4 basidiospores. So the sexual spores of basidiomycetes are basidiospores, which are also produced endogenously inside the basidium. And these basidiospores are exogenously produced on the basidium. This is not endogenous production, this is exogenous production. Okay, so basidia are arranged in fruiting body called basidiocarp, and some common members are agaricus, mushroom, that is Ostelago, moth, and Puccinia, roast fungus, common name. Okay, here you can see the example of basidiomycetes. The common one is agaricus. Okay, the first one is Puccinia. This is Ostelago. How it is a parasite on the corn. You can see. Now next is deuteromycetes. They are commonly known as imperfect fungi because only the asexual or vegetative phase of this fungi are known. Okay, but when this form, any form of this fungi starts dividing sexually, then they move to the class they belong to. That means either they will move to basidiomycetes or ascomycetes or phycomycetes. Okay, so that's why they are known as imperfect perfect fungi. Okay, so it is also possible that the asexual and vegetative stage have been given one name, um, that is and placed on the deuteromycetes, and the sexual stage is another, that is placed on another class. That means when the organism is reproducing asexual or vegetative stage of this organism can be categorized under deuteromycetes, but when it starts dividing sexually, when the fungi divide or reproduces sexually, then a definite kind of a specific kind of spore is produced, and they belong to that group of fungi, um, the type of spore they produce. Suppose say they will produce basidiospores, then they will be categorized under basidiomycetes. Okay, like this. Later, when the linkages were established, the fungi were correctly identified and moved out of deuteromites. So when they start reproducing sexually, they are no more deuteromycetes. They can be basidiomycetes or other group of fungi like ascomycetes. Okay. So the deuteromycetes reproduce only by asexual spores known as conidia. As I said, they are capable of reproducing asexually only. So mycelium is septate and branched. Some members are saprophytes or parasites, while a large number of them are decomposers. Okay, they are very helpful for our environment. And some examples are Alternaria, Polytotrichum, Trichoderma. So here you can see the picture of some of the deuteromycetes. It includes about 8,000 species from India. Okay, and as I said, there most of them are decomposers, so they contribute towards biodegradation and recycling of the organic matters. So here so many examples are there, like Sphaerocystis, um, then Pachyllomyces, Alternaria, Corbulariaria. So these are the examples of deuteromyces. Now after fungi, the next kingdom is Plantae. Uh, it includes all the eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms, that is all higher plants. A few members are partially heterotrophic like insectivorous plants like peaches, that is Nepenthes or Drosera are there. Or some are parasitic also like Cuscuta. And since these are eukaryotic, so they have a very prominent chloroplast and cell wall made up of cellulose is there. And this Plantae kingdom includes algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. And the life cycle of this Plantae kingdom, the organism has two distinct phases. That is sporophytic phase and gametophytic phase. The sporophytic phase is diploid and gametophytic phase that we'll discuss in details in our successive session. The length of the haploid and diploid phases and uh, the whether these phases are free living or dependent on others vary from plant to plant in different groups of plants, and this is called alternation of generation. So what is alternation of generation? When in the life cycle of any organism there are two phases, one is diploid and other is haploid, and they alternate with each other, then that is called alternation of generation. So in kingdom Plantae, the members are having their in their life cycle they are having sporophytic generation and gametophytic generation. Sporophytic generation is diploid, gametophytic generation is haploid, and they alternate with each other. The gametophyte develops into sporophyte, and again the sporophyte develops into gametophyte. Okay, so gametophyte undergoes sexual reproduction and give rise to sporophyte. Sporophyte undergoes asexual reproduction by production of spores, and they give rise to the gametophyte. So this is called alternation of generation. Then kingdom Animalia, it is characterized by heterotrophic eukaryotes. It includes all the animals that lacks cell wall and they are multicellular. Okay, and they are directly or indirectly dependent upon the plants or any other organisms for their food. They digest their food in an internal cavity that is called digestive system, and they store their food for future utilization either in the form of glycogen or fat. Their mode of nutrition is holozoic. That means they engulf the complete complex food. Okay, they follow a definite growth pattern and grow into adult, and they have a definite size and shape. Higher forms of animals show elaborate sensory and neuromotor mechanism. That means they are sensitive to environment, sensitive to certain factors, but most of them are capable of locomotion, can move from one place to another place. The sexual reproduction takes place by copulation of male and female or mating of male and female, and then the embryo is formed. Okay, so in plants also the embryo is formed higher plants, in animals also the embryo is formed in higher animals. Okay, the next topic is our viruses. The virus means it has its meaning is venom or poisonous fluid. Okay, this name was given by D. Ivanovsky. Uh, these viruses are even smaller than the bacteria because because of which they can pass through the bacteria proof filter. Okay, and M.W. Beijering demonstrated that the extract of infected plant of tobacco could cause infection in healthy plants, and called the fluid as Contagium vivum fluidum. ओके, तो उन्होंने क्या किया था, एक टोबैको प्लांट से जिसमें कि कुछ इन्फेक्शन हुआ था वहां से कुछ फ्लूइड को कलेक्ट कलेक्ट किए, और दूसरे टोबैको प्लांट में जब उसको सप्लाई किए तो देखा गया कि दैट प्लांट आल्सो गॉट इन्फेक्टेड. दैट मीन्स वो कंटाजियस है, दैट फ्लूइड इज कंटाजियस, क्योंकि ये फ्लूइड में पाया गया था, जो फ्लूइड कलेक्ट किया गया. सो इट इज नोन एज, उन्होंने क्या नाम दिया उस फ्लूइड को, कंटाजियम वाइवम फ्लूइडम, इन्फेक्शियस लिविंग फ्लूइड. ओके, W.M. Stanley showed that viruses could be crystallized, and crystals consist largely of proteins. Okay, they are inert outside their specific host. As you know that viruses are considered as the connecting link between living and non-living, because outside the host they are just like a inert chemical particle which is either made up mostly made up of protein, but inside the host they are active and they reproduce. and they are obligate parasite. That means without the host they cannot survive, they cannot reproduce. So obligate means they cannot live a free living life. So when they are outside the host, they are known as non-living organisms. So here the structure of virus is, as I said, that it is composed of protein. Besides protein, it also contains a genetic material, either RNA or DNA. But no virus contains both RNA and DNA. Okay, they may contain either RNA or DNA, and basically the viruses are nucleoprotein. That means they have a genetic material at the center, and which is surrounded by a protein core mostly, but in some cases the lipids are also there, and the genetic material is infectious. The protein is not going to harm the any living organism. So when the virus enters into the host, then the genetic material, that is RNA or DNA, is released into the host cell, and that causes infection. Okay, and the plant viruses, that means the viruses that infect the plants, have the single stranded RNA as the genetic material, and the animal viruses which infects the animal only, they have generally double stranded DNA, but some of them may also have single or double stranded RNA. Okay, but in plant always they have RNA, plant viruses. There is another group of virus, that is bacterial virus or bacteriophage. They are commonly called bacteriophage. So remember, bacteriophages are not bacteria, they are the viruses that infects the bacteria. Okay, so and they always have a double stranded DNA. The protein coat is called capsid, protein capsid, which is made up of small units of protein, that is called capsomeres, which protects the nucleic acid, that is DNA or RNA. The capsomeres are arranged in a helical or polyhedral geometric form, as in case of tobacco mosaic virus. Here you can see in the first diagram, here are the first diagram, this is TMV virus, tobacco mosaic virus. Here you can say that RNA is the genetic material because it is a plant virus, and this is the capsid, protein capsid consists of the capsomere. Okay, this individual unit is called capsomere. Okay. So this is another virus, this is animal virus, where also the protein coat is there and they have a definite shape. It is differentiated into head, then your middle piece, and the tail. Okay, so head is hexagonal here in this case. They may be of different shape. Hexagonal, it has a protein coat. The whole external structure is covered by a protein coat. Um, then this part is called polar. The neck region is polar, and here a sheath is present, that is protein sheath. This is hollow. The genetic material DNA is present inside it, and when it infects, then the DNA passes through this sheath and released into the host through this. And this is the basal plate, and this basal plate, with the help of this basal plate, they sits on the, or they fix to the body of the host or the host cell, and these are the tail. These are the tail fibers. 6 tail fibers are there. So this tail fiber also has in that is adhering to the host cell, and after being firmly attached to the host cell, they release the genetic material into the cell. So these are two types of virus. One is plant virus, that is TMV virus. Other one is your bacteriophage, that infects the bacteria. Okay, so the animal virus may also have different shape, but they are all may have the genetic material as their DNA or RNA. Now viroids. What are viroids? Here you can see that in the picture only a DNA is only a RNA is present, and single stranded RNA is present, which is looped, which is looped. So in 1971, Theo Dainier discovered a new infectious agent that was smaller than virus and caused potato spindle fever disease, and it was found to be a free RNA. There is no protein coat or anything else. It is simply a looped RNA molecule. There is no protein coat, and that's why it is called viroids, because it is causing the infection like the virus and even smaller than the virus, and composed of only RNA, and hence it is called viroids. The RNA of the viroid was low molecular weight. The next is prions. In modern medicine, certain infectious neurological diseases were found to be transmitted by an agent consisting of only proteins. But from where the proteins are synthesized? It is from the genetic material. Okay. So the agent was similar in size to viruses. These agents were called prions because they are mainly made up of proteins. They are only proteins. The most notable disease caused by prions are bovine स्पॉन्जीफॉर्म एनसेफेलोपैथी एक ब्रेन डिजीज होता है, कॉमनली इसको कहा जाता है मैड काउ डिजीज, which is caused in cattle. Its analogous variant, that is Jacob disease, CJD in human. Okay, Creutzfeldt disease. So it is also a mental disorder that is caused. Here you can say in the picture only protein is there. Okay, so here normal prion and this is disease prion. Okay, that means here the prion has been changed into a abnormal type which causes the disease. Then last one is our lichen. As you know, lichen is the association of fungus and the algae. So this is the symbiotic association of these two. Here you can see on the tree trunk, these white patches are called lichens. These lichens have two partner, that is algal partner and fungal partner. The fungal partner is called mycobiont and the algal partner is called phycobiont. So algae is having chlorophyll pigment, so it can synthesize food, so it provides food to the fungi. But what does the fungi gives to the algae? The fungi is branched and it is diffused in structure, so it provides shelter to the algae. So in this way they are helping each other and they have formed a mutually benefiting association that is called lichen. Okay, so these lichens are very good pollution indicator, especially the air pollution. So you will never find these lichens where there is air pollution. So suppose say there is an area where previously there was no air pollution, you can find enough and different types of lichens. But once the air gets polluted, they disappear. So disappearance of the lichen is the indicator of air pollution. Okay. So with this, this chapter is finished. In our next session, we'll start our new chapter. Thank you. Thank you for watching.